As an e-com brand owner, I know you pay attention to revenue, but in the financial study that we did for our special report, what we learned is that revenue does not predict success. The structure does. If you look at our data set here, you'll see that the struggling component of our data set were actually at a negative net margin of nearly 5%. They also had a net negative revenue growth. The healthy business was at a little over 7.5% net margin, but they had revenue growth of 15%. The thriving set had a 15% plus net margin growth, yet their revenue growth was significant. They had almost 70% growth in revenue. So what was really different in these businesses? There were two factors. One is that the debt that they had, which you see here on the right column, was significant for those that were struggling. They were relying on debt and paid significant debt to try to keep the business going. Now, you may say, well, the thriving businesses have a lot of debt as well, and they did, but that debt was used to increase their cash flow, and they didn't keep debt around long term. They were constantly turning it over, and it was low interest rate debt, so they were able to leverage debt. The healthy group was relying on debt as well, not to the same degree, but really close to the amount of what they were actually making in net margin. So that's a little concerning, because if they weren't paying for that debt service, their margins would be significantly better. But the real story here is in this section here, where we look at what marketplaces they're in. The folks that are struggling and healthy are predominantly on Amazon. And the folks that are thriving, they have a nice mix. More than half of their sales are off Amazon, and that makes a huge difference. I'm going to go into that in more detail in another episode, because the platform that you're on and the fees that they levy on you makes a huge difference in how much of that money you get to keep at the bottom line. And that's why revenue is not the predictor of success, but the platform is what we found to have a significant impact. My name is Cyndi Thomason. I'm the founder of Your Profit Team and Bookskeep, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.